Don't miss a beat, join the notification squad by clicking that bell. You'll get notified every time I upload a video, and be sure to join our Discord to talk and get help with your code. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the source code. My name is Deshaun, and today we're going to be going over how to have an animated scoreboard and a non-flicker scoreboard. So we're kind of doing 2-in-1 here, so as a little extra, because we got it in the video suggestions and I've been seeing it in the comments, so I thought I would do it. But I quickly want to explain sort of what happened on Tuesday. I installed a new processor, and for some reason my computer was having problems with the drivers with it, so it was crashing, and it was crashing all day, and I could not even get it to stay on and idle for like 5 minutes before it crashed again. And on top of that, I am doing movement orientation at my school, and I am basically in charge of a lot of people, so I am very busy with that. So when I have time, it's like a couple hours, or it's like super late at night. Like right now I'm recording this, it's like 11:30 p.m. at night, and I have to get up at like 7 o'clock tomorrow. So just bear with me for this week, and possibly next week it might be a little hectic. I'm gonna try to get you guys videos as the normal times on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I can't promise for at least the next like 2 to 3 weeks. So like I said, bear with me, guys. But anyways, enough of this. All the code will be available for you guys on GitHub, so if you guys are having some trouble, go there and check it out. But the first things first is obviously we're going to go ahead and need the player, and that's just going to be event.getPlayer. Let me just move that quick. There we go. Equals, not plus. We don't want to plus the player. Equals. Okay. Next thing we're going to need is the scoreboard manager, and that's just going to be scoreboard manager equals this .get server .get scoreboard manager. Next thing we're going to need is the scoreboard itself. So let's go ahead and grab the Bukkit scoreboard, not the Minecraft scoreboard or the NMS scoreboard. We don't want that one. And I don't know what I'm doing. We want to go scoreboard manager .get new scoreboard. Easy peasy. Next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and just get the objective here, and we're just call that objective, and this is going to be scoreboard register new objective, and we are just going to call this test and dummy. Really, you should name it the right names, that way you know. Doesn't really matter, but just something to keep in mind. Then we're going to go ahead and go objective, and we're going to set the display slot, and we're going to set it to sidebar. Okay, so now what I'm about to show you is how you get the non-flicker, but you sort of have to pay attention and understand like what it really is doing. So to get the non-flicker, you actually don't use scores. You kind of use scores, you kind of don't use scores. You use teams. So normally you would assign a team to people like red team, blue team, and you can give the names and all that stuff, friendly fire, blah, 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 blah. But instead, we're going to use it for the scoreboard and for using it to have a way to make the scoreboard not flicker when we update it consistently or constantly. So we're going to call this new one health, and what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and we have to, so we registered the new team, so we have health. We have to go ahead and say health.add entry, and now this is where we can have basically what it's going to look like, right? So we're doing health. So it's going to be health, and then it's going to be, we'll just use these. We'll do it actually and B. So the health is going to be and B. So let's just go ahead and, okay. So what we have to do now is we have to go ahead and say health.set suffix, and it is nothing, and then health.set prefix, which is going to be nothing as well. So I haven't tested it without setting the prefix and suffix. Go ahead and give it a try. Maybe I'll try it in this video, but as far as I know, you probably have to do it because it needs to know if there's a suffix or a prefix for that team. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say objective.getScore, and we're going to get the score, and we're going to just basically copy what we have here, just because it will make our lives a lot easier. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to say set score, and basically wherever we want it. So I'll just put it at 0. Okay, so now we are all done with that. The next part I have is kind of a little bit confusing, and there is probably a better way to do it, but this is just sort of the way that I was exploring with it, and it would take a little bit of tweaking and finessing to make it perfect, but I think it works good enough, and it works in a way that is pretty easy to understand. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to create a new string here, and we're going to call it title, or I guess we should call it original. No, we'll just keep it as title just to make things easier. So we'll make a title, and we'll just make whatever we want the title of our scoreboard to be. Now we're not going to set the scoreboard title just yet. What we have to do is we have to go ahead and create an array of chars, and this is going to be the split, as we're going to call it, and this is just going to equal title.toChar array. Okay, so now what we can do is we have to go ahead and create a new Bukkit runnable. And let's just go ahead and do this, get all this set up, and we're going to run this task. You can run it however often you want to. I'm going to run it every 5 ticks or 10 ticks. So that way it's running every half a second. So obviously you wouldn't want to do this new Bukkit runnable in the on join. You would probably just want to set all this up in the on enable, but because I don't really feel like checking for players and then setting their scoreboard and stuff, I'm just going to do it this way. But you should set up the scoreboard when the server turns on and then add the players as they join the server. Just want to put that out there as well. So what we're going to do is we need an integer, and we're going to call it counter. And this is going to keep track of basically where we are at in this next coming step here. Then we're going to get a string called final title, and it's just going to equal that. Then what we're going to do, oops, sorry, we wanted to put these before that because we don't want these to be reset every single time this loops through. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say if counter is less than split.length, we are going to go ahead and say string letter equals string.value of, and this is just going to be split and counter. And you're wondering why I haven't added anything to counter yet, and because obviously chars start at 0. Everything starts at zeros. Anything that's an array of something starts at 0. So we just want to keep that normal there. Then what we'll do is we will go ahead and say counter plus equal 1. And now we got that. So what we can do now is we want to go ahead and make a way for us to not have it so the title is completely nothing. We're going to create spaces for the number of characters that are in the name. Like I said, this part is a little bit weird, and you would actually have to do a little bit of finessing and tweaking to make it perfect. But as far as making a simple animated scoreboard, it would work fine. So what we have to do is we have to go ahead and say string spaces equals this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say for int I equals 0. And we're going to say I less than split.length minus counter, because we want it to get rid of, since this for loop is going to be inside of this runnable, we want it to obviously not keep all of those 9 or 10 spaces, however many letters are in the source code, every time. We want it to be subtracted every time this runs. That way it sort of starts building the name and getting rid of these empty spaces. And then we're just going to go ahead and say I++ right there. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to say spaces plus equal a space. Okay, and now we'll end that because that's all set. And what we can do now is we can go ahead and say final title equals final title plus letter. So what's happening here is this is basically running, and every time it is grabbing a single letter from the array, from the char array. And then after that, we are going to add 1 to the counter, so that way when it comes back through, it can get the next letter. But before that, it's calculating all the spaces based on the number of, basically based on the number of letters that are already in the scoreboard. Then after that, it is grabbing the final title, which we set to nothing, and adding the letter to the final title. Make sense? Well, we could actually just change this to plus equal letter. I believe we can do that. I believe that should work. I did it up here, so I don't know why I'm saying I believe that should work. Then what we need to do is we need to go ahead and say objective.setDisplayName is going to be final title. So, and what we have to do now is if we want this to update all the time, we're just going to go ahead and say health dot, and we are just going to set the suffix, which is just going to be counter. And we have to go ahead and just add that in there so that way it can run. So after all of this, let's jump out of this runnable and just say player.set scoreboard. And I believe this should work right off the bat here, so let's go ahead and try it out. As you can see, my other one was still running there from when I was testing and making sure that my computer wouldn't crash. So if we join now, you can see there that we have it. It's not perfect, but it does work pretty good. Like I said, there is some tweaking and finessing that you'd have to do. Also, we need to make a way for it to realize when it has reached its end and reset itself. So we're just going to say else final title equals nothing. We don't want to equal anything. So let's go ahead and exit this. Oh, and we have to obviously go ahead and set this. So actually, let's just grab this too, so that let's just add final title back to nothing. Sorry, I'm being stupid. It's late. So probably lots of cutting in this video. So okay, so now it's finally working after all my silly mistakes, and you can see there it goes back to normal. And as you can see, like with the sort of finessing and tweaking, you wouldn't get the scoreboard actually changing its side, which is probably its size, which what probably most people would want. So just play around with it, see what you can do, see if you can get it working good. Obviously you can sort of start implementing different colors and whatnot. So thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a comment, drop a like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. I think we have a plugin spotlight going this week. I'm not quite sure because I was gone on vacation, so I have to catch up with everything with Ned. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.